How can you be at a HBCU and be calling for change to get things done, talking to other HBCUs about, essentially having a collective bargaining agreement that they won't negotiate for anything less than a certain amount of money,
Right.
but then go to a PWI and go against what you were just
And not
preaching.
uphold that. Exactly.
And in that regard, I would call him a sellout.
In that regard, I would too.
You know what I mean?
If he doesn't continue the continue the path that he actually paid for HBCU.
All right, so last week after winning his second SWAC championship in 3 years, Coach Prime Deion Sanders announced that he was leaving Jackson State to accept the head coaching job at Colorado. This came with much controversy and backlash from HBCU supporters who are upset that Coach Prime used HBCU as a stepping stone to get to a PWI. So Sticks, what are your thoughts on Coach Prime leaving Jackson State after 3 seasons?
So I'm going to be honest. Initially, I was a little hurt. Mainly because I myself played at the illustrious North Carolina Central University, which is an HBCU, one of the top HBCUs, who they are playing in the Celebration Bowl coming up soon, right? So it kind of hurt me a little bit, just me being an alumnus of an HBCU and just following Coach Prime over these past 3 years and the way that he represented for HBCUs and the things that he was doing for HBCUs and trying to get HBCUs a lot more exposure, a lot more money, a lot more funding, a lot more TV time. And what he was trying to do was an amazing thing that I was seeing that I wish I had when I was playing almost 15 years ago. Well, at this point, it's been 15 years. So it's like, it hurt initially, but you have that hurt and you have that disappointment initially, but then you peel back the onion and you kind of see exactly, why Coach Prime did what he did. You know what I'm saying? He did what he did. He took the job. It seemed like an unusual choice for Coach Prime, but he took the job at Jackson State, which was a lower division team, and they had a losing record for the past decade before he even got there. But this year, in the past 3 years, they've been doing good. 27-5 record in those 3 years, 12-0 this year with a second SWAC championship, and they're about to go on, just like D-Lo said, he alluded to, they're about to go on to play my alma mater, NCCU, in the Celebration Bowl coming up very, very soon. So he had the resume to do that, to move on. He, if nobody else, deserved a better job. You know what I'm saying? Deserved to go to one of these predominantly white institutions to go coach. But I had some hurt initially, but once you peel back the onion, you kind of see exactly what's going on. You kind of have a way to say, okay, I understand, because just like he said, man, in coaching, you either get you get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. So that's the quote straight from Coach Prime. So what you think? How did you feel about it, bro?
So, it's always sad to see a coach leave a situation or leave your school, especially if you're supporting that school. But if he's doing what he's supposed to do and getting the results on the field, I think in time you can swallow him leaving. So in regards, pause for sure. But in regards. In regards to Coach Prime leaving Jackson State, I feel the pain of Jackson State supporters. And as HBCUs, as you just mentioned, you guys, I did not go to a HBCU. I went to a PWI. So I'm on the other side of the fence in this situation. But as a HBCU, you guys are great. You're the alums of HBCUs always have a great sense of pride for their respective school that they attended. They have the passion and the love for the times that they shared or they spent at their HBCUs. In that regard, I'm always envious of those that attended HBCUs because I hear how you talk about it all the time. But when it comes to situations like this, I was kind of disappointed at HBCU alums because during his time at Jackson State, Coach Prime did nothing but uplift HBCUs, did nothing HBCUs, and he did nothing but bring awareness to HBCUs.
Hmm.
Um, I I can understand why you would be, or why HBCU alums would be dis not would be hurt initially, like you said, by
Hmm.
this situation, because you want to keep a personality like that in the ranks of HBCUs, because he's going to be the ultimate salesman. Dion has a big personality. Coach Prime has a
Hmm.
big personality. He's going to draw attention, just one, because of who he is. He is a Hall of Fame NFL football player.
Hmm.
He is a person that, when he was first drafted into the NFL, he said he was going to ask the Detroit Lions to put him on. He was going to ask for so much money that the Detroit Lions were going to have to put him on layaway. So he
Yeah,
has that
facts.
personality, right? He has that personality to bring in fans and put them in the seats.
Facts.
Um, I just felt like it was the reaction that they had was just nonsensical.
It
Um,
was
and for me, it didn't hurt me. So like you said, you were hurt
a
because,
little bit. Yeah, I was.
yeah, you said you were hurt because you wanted him to be a part of the HBCUs, and I get that.
Hmm.
Um, I was not hurt, but I was. I don't know the exact word I was looking for. I did have a little bit of wish he would have stayed at
Hmm.
least another year,
Hmm.
but I wasn't hurt by it.
Yeah.
Um, because, and we'll get into this, we'll talk about it more in depth later on, but because this is just business as
Business
usual
as
when
usual.
it
I agree.
comes to the coaching profession.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. And it's one thing. And the reason why it was more so because it's a black man that's coaching at a black college
Hmm.
that's now going to a quote unquote white college, right? So,
Right.
and the reason why the black community was so up in arms is because they felt like Coach Prime sold a dream. They felt like Coach Prime sold a dream, and then he bailed out once he got that money from quote unquote the white man. That's what a lot of the black community is saying. But and it's one thing that because I watch a lot of sports talk radio as well. I watch a couple of podcasts on that, and I was listening to Bomani Jones, and who is also a black college graduate. He
Hmm.
said that uh, he said you weren't going to bring this attention to all these other schools in the time period he was there. If he was really going to accomplish that for HBCUs, that's like a 10-year program. That's what Bomani Jones said. And he also said he sold the big dream. Now, if you paid any attention, you knew the dream that he was selling wasn't possible. It was not an achievable one that he had, but he sold it and he got people to believe it, and then he took the deuces and left.
But my
That's a
question to
that's a
that,
strong statement, and not saying I agree with Bomani,
yeah,
but that's how a lot of the black community felt whenever they found out he was moving from an HBCU to a PWI. That's exactly that kind of encapsulates exactly what the black community thought.
yeah. But my question in rebuttal to that
Hmm.
is, what else was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to just come in and be like underwhelming with his introduction and what he
Hmm.
planned to do for Jackson State and HBCU? Was he just supposed to be not Deion Sanders?
Exactly.
So we talk about it was a meme of him not too long ago where he was with a reporter, that they ended up find out they have a great connection, a great relationship.
Hmm.
And he was telling the reporter, "Man, be yourself. That this ain't you. Be
Right.
yourself." So, what was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to not be Deion Sanders, who I just said told the Detroit Lions he was going
Hmm.
to ask for so much money he's going to put him on? That's who he is.
That's
He
who
is a
he is.
huge personality.
Huge.
In some regard, he is like a Donald Trump. You know, Donald
I
Trump
can see where you're going with
Donald
that.
Trump is the ultimate salesman. Everything is going to be magnificent. Everything is on the grandest scale. Everything is the best, the
Hmm.
first. You know what I'm saying? That's Deion Sanders. That's who he is, the ultimate salesman.
He is.
I've never been around Deion Sanders, but I've heard many people say that he has kind of like the Steve Jobs effect. If you ever read Steve Jobs' book,
Hmm.
it talks about, not compare him to a white man, but it talks about
Facts.
how he has this kind of what is it called now? And I said that and I forget what it was, but it basically just a reality distortion. So he's
Okay.
able to bend everybody's will, so to speak, to get them to do what he wants to do.
Okay.
And the same with Dion, so to speak. He has this personality that draws people in, wants, and you want to do everything that you can to help him. And that's
Hmm.
just because of who he is. He
Because of who he
knows who
is.
he is. Exactly. He's gonna get the things done, or he's gonna try to get the things done that he needs to achieve and be successful.
For sure. For
So
sure.
what else was he supposed to do
And
is ultimately what I'm asking.
he wasn't supposed to do anything but exactly what the hell he did. He
Right.
came in, he was himself. He used the connections that he had to be able to fly like he want to, be able to get the apparel that he needed for his players to not look like what he said was kids on the side of the street that's going to play football. Like
Right.
he had everything that he needed. He used who he was and his personality to be able to make those strides for HBCUs while he was at Jackson State. He used his connections to be able to get people to at least talk about giving these HBCUs more money when they're playing these Power Five schools at the beginning of the season. He used his connections to get more TV time. He used the connections to get those airline miles and everything that Jackson State needed. This man even, which we're gonna talk about soon, he used some of his money to pay for, to do things for Jackson State. So it's
Right.
like he poured so much into HBCU athletics as a whole that what do you expect for a bigger college to do to see a man that's doing this on a smaller scale? You have to believe that somebody on a larger scale is going to believe, well, he can do this here. He can definitely do it here with more resources. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So,
Exactly.
and I was, it was a shock when I heard it. Like I said, it only hurt because I am in and a part of that HBCU community. But whenever I start to listen to people talk down on him as if he's Uncle Tom or Uncle Ruckus for people who know who Uncle Ruckus is. That's when it hurt me. It was like, well, was he not supposed to progress in his career? Was he not supposed to make more money? Was he not supposed to do things in other avenues to make the people around him in his community successful? Like, was he not supposed to do that? Was he just, like you said, was he supposed to just sit back and be a clam or a hermit and not be who Coach Prime is? That's what didn't make any sense for me. It's like, bro, like we really gotta stop holding our own back. That's what I want to say to the black community, because that's what it feels like here, is that you were trying to hold this man back just because the things that he did, you want him to do it for a lifetime, and that's not how these businesses work. That's not how coaching works. It's not how these contracts work.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it. So even with him being the ultimate salesman, right? He did
Mm-hmm.
give hints and clues as to what his ultimate plan was. Yes, he did say God called him to be at
Right.
Jackson State, and he answered collect. But even when God calls you to one place, he also can call you to move on and
Mm-hmm.
go to a different place. He also can use you in other avenues. And in his time at Jackson State, Coach Prime did a lot of things for not just Jackson State, but for HBCUs. We talked about him. He brought awareness and a heightened sense of pride
Mm-hmm.
to HBCUs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you guys, HBCU alums, as I mentioned, has like the ultimate pride in their schools and their experiences and their times that they shared and that they had in college. He heightened that even more. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all you hear now is, yeah, I go here, I went here, I went there, HBCU. You know what I'm saying? He brought awareness and push for change in how HBCUs negotiated payment in the money games they played against PWIs. We talked about that in
Mm-hmm.
episode 3. He
Mm-hmm.
brought in high caliber players and coaches to Jackson State, which before he got the number one pick or number one draft pick. Dang, I keep saying draft pick. The number one
Recruit in the country.
recruit in the
Mm-hmm.
country, Travis Hunter, to
Mm-hmm.
come to Jackson State, who he's probably going to leave with Coach Prime. But that just shows the type of person that Coach Prime is, to get that type of player to come to Jackson State, along with other players that came in through the transfer portal to
Mm-hmm.
Jackson State, who you mentioned was not, they didn't win a lot of games previous to him coming. And in the last 2 years, they've won two SWAC
Two straight
championships.
championships, 27-5. They only lost 5 games in the past 3 years, and they
You
lost.
know what
They
I mean?
were a losing university for a
A losing
decade before
program
him.
before that. And so for him to do all of that, and I didn't even mention him using money out of his own pocket to help and we'll talk about this more in depth later on, but
Hmm.
to use money out of his own pocket to help to build the facilities in Jackson State
Hmm.
or at Jackson State. Didn't even talk about that. But for him to do all of that, to get the amount of disrespect thrown at him
For sure.
for leaving, HBCUs will be lucky to get another coach or personality of his caliber to come in to be a coach, again. The thing that I have an issue with,
Hmm.
and you alluded to it, is him being called a sellout
Facts.
for the decision to leave Jackson State and go to HBCU, go to Colorado. To me,
Hmm.
that is ridiculous,
Ridiculous.
because we throw around that sellout term quite loosely, and it doesn't always fit. And to me, in this situation, it truly does not fit, because he's not turning his back on the black race. There are black kids that play at Colorado. He will
Hmm.
be recruiting black kids to come play at Colorado.
For
He
sure.
will be delivering the same message that he delivered at Jackson State to Colorado. I
Hmm.
mean, at Colorado. So he's not a sellout
At all.
in the slightest bit.
Not in the community at all in the slightest bit. He was. I think with that. Well, I think it was a term that was thrown all around at Prime, regardless of it was in the community or if it was for HBCUs in general. I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it came from just like Bomani said. Bomani Jones, when he said that he sold a dream, and it it doesn't have to be a dream though. I mean, it is a dream to be able to get in which the dream can come true. It's not anything that's impossible for sure, because the
Mm,
dream that everybody is talking about was being able to bring more awareness towards HBCUs to be on the same, close to the same level as these PWIs. Because for Bomani Jones to say it, they were so people were sold a dream. That's crazy, because the thing that I have an issue with is, yes, Coach Prime was doing a lot of these things on his own and bringing awareness and the things that we alluded to or that we talked about. But there's so many followers that are waiting for Coach Prime to do everything for them, and opposed
mm,
to looking at what Coach Prime has done and taking it from there and say, okay, shoot, he going to a PWI, but I still want my HBCUs to be uplifted and make the money that they deserve. So I'm gonna fill the shoes of Coach Prime and try to do the same thing, try to keep this process going, that he started. Now,
right.
understand those are big shoes to fill, but at the same time, they can be filled. You know what I'm
It
saying?
can be done.
So it's not a dream deterred. It's something
Hmm.
that that can still happen, because it's still in the process of becoming something amazing for HBCUs. So I don't, the sellout thing is crazy, man, because like you said, he's still gonna be recruiting black kids or black athletes to go to Colorado. He's not gonna stop that. And I honestly don't think, from the man that I think Coach Prime is, I don't, like I said, I've never been around him or do I know him, but the man that I think Coach Prime is, I still think that he's gonna still be bringing awareness to HBCUs at this PWI, because he
I
are
100. Yeah, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead. My
because
fault.
he's already been talking about how I just he's already been talking about how these PWIs need to give these colleges, these smaller schools, more money to get beat up on and beat down at the beginning of the season, which shit, some of these schools be beating up on some of these PWIs. But I think he's gonna be one of the first, and this probably can go into to the next segment, to the next idea or next topic. But I think he's gonna be one of those, the first PWI schools that actually gives a black college more money to play them.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Um, yeah, I feel the same way. Just have the same sentiment about that. Is because how can you be, on one hand, how can you be at a HBCU
Mm-hmm.
and be calling for change to get things done, talking to other HBCUs about, essentially having a collective bargain agreement that they won't negotiate for anything less than a certain amount of money,
Right.
but then go to a PWI and go against what you were just
And not
preaching.
uphold that,
And
exactly.
and in that regard, I would call him a sellout.
In that regard, I would too.
You know what I mean?
If he doesn't continue continue the path that he actually paved for HBCUs, and
right.
I agree. But I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, it's all good. I was just gonna, say in that regard, I can see him being a sellout, because then it is a dream that he sold, and he's not holding up to the other end of the dream now that he's a part of the PWI.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the statement that Bomani Jones made about him saying he sold them a dream and it wasn't attainable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you mentioned, he set the blueprint. Now the next person that comes in at Jackson State or any other HBCU has that blueprint, and we'll talk about that in the next section segment of what they need to do and what they can do in order to be
Mm-hmm.
successful at not just the college that they represent and that they're coaching at, but also try to get the collective HBCUs together and rally the troops
Mm-hmm.
to uplift HBCUs because this is just like I said, this is just if HBCUs want to be a part of that bigger conversation of what college football, the college football experience, and having the equality of what PWI's experience with their college programs.
Mm-hmm.
This is a normal experience. I mean, shit. Sometimes you have coaches going from one job to the next every year.
Every single year, exactly. Yep.
So I mean, listen, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. Yes, Coach Prime was there for 3 years. Yes, Jackson State did give him his first college coaching job,
Mm-hmm.
but let's not be naive. It was a mutually beneficial contract between Jackson State and Coach Prime. For Coach Prime, he like I said, he got that first college job, which allowed him to get the job that he has now at Jackson State. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think he'll stop at
I don't think
Colorado.
so
He'll
either.
probably be at a bigger college in another 2 or 3 years as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jackson State got the seats in the stand, the butts in the stands. They got the awareness of what Jackson State can offer,
Mm-hmm.
not just student athletes, but normal students as well.
Mm-hmm.
And HBCUs as a whole received a boost in what they can be.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree, man. So that we got to stop with this whole sellout conversation, man, because this man didn't sell out. He didn't sell out at all. And just like I said, moving forward, the man that he is, he gonna keep pushing for that awareness for HBCUs, even at Colorado. So we got to stop in our community trying to be them crabs in a barrel, bro. Let's not do that. Let's not
Mhm.
be those folk because if it wasn't Coach Prime, it was gonna be somebody else.
There's gonna be somebody
If it
else.
wasn't Coach Prime, it was going to be somebody else. And just because of the personality and the figure that Coach Prime is, now you hold him to a higher esteem, which you should, but you should also allow this man to progress in his career. This is a man that came from a offensive coordinator spot at a private school in Texas to getting a head coaching job at Jackson State, which many can say that he wasn't even qualified for.
Mhm.
But the man did his thing. And then now he's progressing again to say that he's going to Colorado. What was you about to say? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I would not say he
He wasn't
wasn't
qualified.
qualified
Well,
for it
I wasn't saying
because
it in that manner, but you know what I mean. Go ahead.
yeah, no. I know what you meant, and I wasn't taking it that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was just saying I wouldn't even say he isn't qualified because anytime that you're an NFL Hall of Famer, um, for the most part, you're qualified to coach at a. I won't say I won't. Okay, maybe I
I
won't say
wouldn't say
head coaching.
anywhere. I wouldn't say anywhere, but like
Yeah,
you said, yeah. Okay, go ahead. My fault.
but he's qualified to coach at
Jackson State
Jackson State. Because I
and
mean,
the like.
okay,
Yeah,
okay, Eddie George is the coach at
true.
Tennessee State. So
Yeah,
was he not qualified to
true,
coach it? You
true,
know what I mean?
true,
So
true, true, true.
yeah.
But I mean,
Okay, and a better. This is the last one. If he's not qualified to be the coach at Jackson State, then we all know Steve Nash was not qualified to be the coach of the Brooklyn Nets.
okay. It's definitely comparable. It's 100% comparable. It's 100%
Yes,
comparable because
thank
you
you.
already know how I feel about Steve Nash being a coach over there. You
Exactly,
know how I feel about that. We talked about that
exactly,
a couple of episodes ago too. So I mean,
exactly.
so yeah, I mean, in that instance, yeah, he wasn't qualified as far as experience, but who he is and the personality he has and how he has the ability to move people, definitely
Yeah,
100% qualified, 100%,
100%.
and being a Hall of Famer. So that makes a big change too. You know, that puts
That
a
holds big weight,
holds huge
regardless.
weight, huge
Yeah,
weight. But yeah. So I mean, my final wisdom on this whole thing, as far as the community, we got to stop. We gotta
100%.
we gotta stop, man, because this man was going to progress regardless of how you feel or not. Because the Prime that I know, he don't care about your feelings, honestly. Now he cares about the community, he cares about the people, but as far as how you feel about him, he don't care. Look good, play good, win good. All you know what he say. You know what I'm saying? You
Look
look good, you
good,
play good.
feel good.
Look good, you
Feel
feel good.
good,
You feel good, you
play
play
good.
good. You know what I'm
Play
saying?
good, they pay good.
Exactly. So he don't care about how you personally feel about him, but the community itself, he's still gonna help. So we got to stop
Yeah.
with this crab in the barrel mentality, man, and let that man do his thing, bro. Stop. Get out your feelings. Get out your
Right.
feelings. Unless you're gonna take his path and walk his footsteps and do things for HBCUs, unless you're gonna do it, don't worry about what he doing. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I'll even add to what you just said quickly, and then I'll get to my final wisdom on it. If you are not giving back to HBCUs, your opinion is not relevant whatsoever.
Are you listening, folks?
If you weren't giving back to Jackson State University or North Carolina
Your
A&T
own personal
or
HBCU that you went to,
or,
if you ain't giving back.
or whatever the case may be, Morehouse, Howard, all these schools, if you're not giving back to them, he don't care. The players don't care. So move on. But my final thought on this is, I'm not gonna act like this is an exclusive. This. I'm not gonna act like this is only a black issue, right? I'm not gonna act like only the black community acts like this when they are disappointed by somebody that they put so much stock into. But labeling Deion Sanders as a sellout because he decided to go to Colorado is a bit much to me.
100%.
If you feel like you were swindled by him, maybe you decided not to hear what he was saying in numerous interviews when asked about coaching at a Power Five school. He always says, if that is the opportunity that comes for me, I'll definitely go and see what they have to offer. He never promised the HBCUs that he would remain there at a lifetime. Even in the interview that we covered in episode, was it 3, episode 8? One of the two, I can't remember. It was episode 8. He talked about, no, it was 3. It was 3. He talked about going to see, what a Power 5 school had to offer. So if you decided to just let that go in one ear and out the other, then you being upset about a HBCU, about him leaving the HBCU community is, that's your own fault.
That's your own
And so maybe you don't know about the coaching profession and how, like I said, coaches go from one job to the next trying to get to the best program that they possibly can, because it's all about resources. But if you don't know, you for sure know now.
For sure, no now. Because, and like you said, it's all about those resources, man.
All about them.
The bigger schools with the bigger budgets and the bigger alumni system, you know what I'm saying? The bigger quarterback clubs and all of that pour more money into these programs. That's what those resources are. And a lot of HBCUs don't have that, which is unfortunate, but that's what Coach Prime is pushing towards. And I think with this move, he's still going to push towards that for HBCUs regardless.
Yep.
He was bringing it to the spotlight to be able to let people know exactly what's really going on. So I think he's left a blueprint in the sense that people who are current coaches and coaches coming up can push towards that same dream.
You're winning and you're still talking about certain things. If you were losing and talking about certain things, people are like, well, okay, first you got to win some games, and then we can talk about this.
But boy,
you know what I'm saying?
You come in and ask for money.
Exactly.